April 17th, 1964. One car, one day, 22,000 units sold. This is not a typo. In one day, before or since, no other car in history has repeated this record. Today, this car is worth between $30,000 and $3 million. It has been featured in thousands of films. It is recognized anywhere in the world. This is the story of how a herd of horses on the hood changed the automotive industry forever.
The early 1960s.
The country is experiencing an incredible boom. The baby boomer generation has grown up and wants one thing: freedom. Freedom of expression, freedom of speed, freedom of the road. But what does the market offer? Huge family sedans the size of boats. Boring, heavy, identical. Young people wanted something different, something daring, something their own.
Lee Iacocca.
36 years old, an ambitious manager with Italian roots. He was the one who convinced Ford's management to pursue a seemingly impossible idea: to create a car for young people. Stylish, fast, and crucially, affordable. Base price? $2,368. That's about $23,000 in today's money, less than a new Solaris.
But the name?
The name came about completely by accident, and this is a story that you definitely didn't know. The first prototype was called Cougar, but marketers rejected it as too aggressive. Torino? Too Italian. Thunderbird 2? Already taken. One of the designers, John Najjar, was an aviation enthusiast. He suggested Mustang, in honor of the legendary P-51 Mustang fighter plane from World War II. Management liked it, but they saw something else: a wild horse, a symbol of freedom in the American West. That's how a herd of wild horses ended up on the hood.
By the way, here's a fun fact.
The horse on the emblem is running to the left, counterclockwise. In horse racing, this direction is considered incorrect. Was it a designer's mistake? Intentional audacity? Ford has never officially commented on it, but fans are sure. It's a symbol of rebellion. The Mustang doesn't follow the rules.
So, the car is ready.
It has a name. All that remains is to show it to the world. And that's when Ford put on a show that changed automotive marketing forever.
April 17th,
1964. New York International Auto Show. Ford did the impossible. They bought advertising time simultaneously on all three major television networks in the country. On one evening, during prime time, 29 million Americans saw the Mustang at the same time. That's 1 in every 6 people in the country. The next day, crowds stormed Ford dealerships.
at a dealership in Chicago,
15 buyers held an auction right there on the spot. Whoever paid the most would get the only one available. In Texas, one buyer refused to get out of the car while the paperwork was being processed. He was afraid that someone else would buy it.
What did the first Mustang offer?
The basic version had a 2.8-liter inline 6-cylinder engine, 101 horsepower. Not much, but enough for the city. But the magic of the Mustang was in the options. Ford offered a system that today we would call a configurator. Want more power? Here's a 271 horsepower V8. Want a convertible? You got it. Want a special color, stripes, wheels? No problem. Buyers could build their own unique car. In 1964, that was revolutionary. That people didn't just want a stylish car, they wanted a beast, a real beast. And in 1969, they released a monster. Boss 429. Even the name sounds threatening. 7 liters, 375 horsepower, officially. Unofficially, over 500. Ford underestimated the figures so that insurance companies wouldn't go crazy. Only 1,359 of these monsters were produced. Today, a perfect example costs from $300,000. Rare versions go for millions. But if the boss was a factory monster, Shelby was a legend of a different caliber. Carroll Shelby, former race car driver, the man who beat Ferrari at Le Mans. Ford gave him a Mustang and said, "Turn it into a weapon." He did. The 1967 Shelby GT500. 7 liters, 355 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. For the 60s, that was the speed of a spaceship. The first generation ended in 1973 at the height of its glory. But what happened next was a nightmare. A real nightmare that Ford wants to forget. The year is 1973, the oil crisis. Gasoline prices skyrocket fourfold. Lines at gas stations stretch for hours. Big, gas-guzzling V8s? Forget it. And Ford makes a decision that fans still haven't forgiven. Meet the Mustang 2. Smaller, lighter, more economical. The base engine is 2.3 liters, 88 horsepower. That's not a typo. 88. From the Boss 429 before that, it's a fourfold drop. Car magazines were furious. "This isn't a Mustang, it's a pony on a diet," wrote Road and Track. But here's the paradox. The Mustang 2 sold extremely well. Why? Because it was what the market needed at that moment. Almost 400,000 units in the first year. People voted with their wallets. And then the 80s came. Third generation. 14 years without significant changes. An angular design in the style of Hello 80s. Power ranging from 90 to 225 horsepower. Not bad, but it was the era of Porsche, BMW, and Japanese sports cars. The Mustang was losing ground. It was losing its identity. By the early 90s, rumors were circulating that Ford would kill the Mustang. Completely. Forever. And they almost did. There was a project to replace the Mustang with a Mazda. A front-wheel drive Mazda. But then a miracle happened. A fan uprising changed history. The year is 1994. Ford listens to its fans. The fourth generation marks a return to its roots. Smooth lines instead of angles, an aggressive grille, and finally, a proper V8. 5 liters, 215 horsepower in the base model, and a design that reminds you of that very first Mustang. Critics were skeptical at first, then they fell silent. The car became iconic again. The GT version flew off the shelves. Cobra, Bullet, Mach-E. The special editions were back. And in 2005, Ford did what everyone had been waiting for 20 years. The fifth generation. Totally retro. The design openly references 1967. 3 vertical stripes on the taillights. Long hood, aggressive stance. It was like meeting an old friend who had only gotten cooler. The Shelby GT500 of this generation, 500 horsepower. From the factory, no tuning. America fell in love with the Mustang again. But in 2015, Ford made a move that divided fans. Forever. For the first time in history, the Mustang betrayed its roots. The year is 2015, the 6th generation. Ford announces that, for the first time in history, the Mustang will be sold worldwide. Europe, Asia, Australia. To achieve this, they had to do the unthinkable. Create an independent rear suspension. Instead of the solid axle that was the symbol of the American muscle car, purists cried, "It's not a Mustang anymore." And Ford replied, "Look at the numbers." In Germany, the country of BMW and Porsche, the Mustang became the best-selling sports car. In China, it's a sellout. In Australia, it's a cult. 5 liters, 460 horsepower in the top version, 0 to 100 in 4.3 seconds. This is no longer an affordable sports car. This is a car that kicks the asses of the German premium trio.
And the 2020 Shelby GT500?
760 horsepower, the most powerful production Ford in history. 0 to 100 in 3.3 seconds, faster than a Lamborghini Huracan. They started with 88 horsepower in 1974. They ended up with 760 in 2020, an 8.5-fold increase in half a century.
And here we are in the present.
The year 2021. Ford is taking the most controversial step in Mustang history. The Mustang Mach-E. Electric. Crossover. Think about it. A crossover named Mustang. The internet exploded. You killed the legend. This is not a Mustang.
But here's the fact.
The Mach-E is selling. And it's selling well. Because Ford understood what Lee Iacocca understood back in 1964. The Mustang is not an engine. It's not a drivetrain. It's not a specific formula. The Mustang is a feeling, freedom, boldness, style. Seventh generation, 2024. 5 liters V8 remains. 486 horsepower in the Dark Horse version. Ford said it straight. As long as there is demand, we will make gasoline Mustangs. And judging by sales, there is demand. And it is huge. 60 years, 7 generations, 10 million cars sold. The Mustang has appeared in more than 3,000 films and TV series, from Bullitt to John Wick. It has been crashed, blown up, thrown off roofs, and yet it remains an icon. Why?
Because a Mustang isn't just a car, it's a promise.
A promise that even an ordinary person can own something special, something that roars, that turns heads, that stirs emotions. In 1964, a student could save up for a Mustang over the summer. Today, the base model costs around $30,000, still cheaper than most of its German competitors. An affordable dream, a democratic sports car. The formula hasn't changed in 60 years.
The Mustang has survived oil crises,
Economic downturns, generational changes, the advent of electricity. And it's still here, still roaring, still turning heads. That's what a true legend is. In the next video, we'll take a look at the Mustang's main competitor, the Chevrolet Camaro. The story is no less dramatic, with wars, betrayals, and an unexpected ending. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And in the comments, write which generation of Mustang is your favorite and why. See you soon.